Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on the bus stop again. Is that little regular catch up that myself and Russell Boyce have? A wee peek behind the curtain on what's going on the bus, a wee breaking down of the fourth wall, a wee catch up just to see what's going on with the main man himself. Because, yeah, every week, well, we've tried to do this every week. We're kind of sticking to that schedule, but we've
Not bad.
done not bad this week. This is our second week in a row with this one. After the Christmas and New Year, where days seem to go missing, we're back on track now with a wee weekly catch up. But yes, this is episode number 7 of the bus stop. So welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Phil, and of course, I am joined by the main man himself, Russell Boyce. How the devil are you, sir?
Jamming, Phil. Oh, good. It's been a long day, mate, but a good day. Because we got the breakfast bar done this morning, crack of dawn and all that, and then just did the usual full shift at work, and then I thought we'd jump on and do a wee bus stop, because I don't feel like a wee bit of goss on the bus stop. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course. As before, they always gather. The people always come to watch these whenever we upload the bus stop. It always does good numbers. People want to hear. Probably helps as well the fact the show is only about 20 minutes. So most people will go like,
us, mate.
That's not bad. Given the 3-hour PMP the other day, like. Some people are still trying to get through that. Some people are still watching, just still got an hour to go. Mental.
Between Bustalgia and then PMP and then introducing Steve O'Mac, I must have spoke shite for about 7 hours at the weekend. Not alone.
Well, people clearly like it because the numbers are still doing well. But before we go into the whole, like, we always catch up on what's going on the bus and so forth. Let's talk about the team now. You don't need to talk anything about the Kilmarnock game at the weekend. You've said more than enough about it. As you have 3-hour PMP. You spoke with Steve-O about it. You did the Monday Club. You even said to Jonathan, I'm not going to speak about it, Jonathan. Let's get your opinion on the Celtic game. It turns out we do actually have Kilmarnock coming up again this week because we turn our attention to League Cup action as the old domestic cups. A wee change of scenery, essentially. Did you happen to see Ryan Jack's comments the other day? And he was talking about Rangers' ambitions this season.
I'm not entirely sure. I think, did he say something about they're focusing on 2 cups? Is that what it was?
He who speaks to his shoes.
A resignation.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was going to get your opinion on that. What did you think? That was a bit of an interesting admission. When you read between the lines, that was essentially the shoe starer admitting that, we're not going to win the league, so we're just targeting that domestic cup double. It's interesting, isn't it, where the priorities lie compared to our priorities?
Well, do you know, it's mad with him because it's like he always looks like he's about to burst out crying, and maybe he'd just been crying before he got that fucking interview done with him. Do you know what I mean? But he's one of those folk who I think is accustomed to not winning league titles, to be perfectly honest with you.
True.
So for that to be a subconscious giveaway that he's resigned to losing the league title this year, I can honestly say that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, because he's synonymous with failure in the league. You know, he won a COVID season. Fair play to him. They deserved it that year. Every other year he's been at Rangers, they fell way short. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's looking at 9 points being insurmountable. Insurmountable, not a bad word for me. Already.
But no, I as soon as I saw the headline the other day, that was the first thing that I took from it. Instead of reading like the black and white of it, I was like, no, wait a minute. That's a sort of, ironically, you know, when they shout about no surrender, that to me was waving the white flag of surrender right there. But it's like, Rangers were targeting, we know what the fans' demands, we're targeting a League Cup and Scottish Cup double. I'm like, I don't know if the fans are necessarily demanding that at Rangers, but well, that's not our priority. But I say the League Cup coming up, you know, where is it on our priority list? Obviously, we're that close now to the final. We won't obviously get it in the trophy cabinet this season.
Well, it's a moving parts for me, the League Cup, because the League Cup is something fundamentally I at the start of the season was ranking 4th in my priorities list, Phil, right? And Europe came first. Sadly, we're out of all European competition already, therefore it elevates itself. Yes, it's still, you know, 3rd, but you find yourself in a semi-final now, we've got to go win it. That's what we do. We win these trophies when we get this far in the competition. So by all means, it becomes of a greater significance and importance than for me it was at the start of the season. It's definitely it's moved, if you like, based on obviously the successes, or you could say the shortcomings that we've had in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So, it's got to be ranked higher than what I would ideally like it to be. I also think it takes a different precedence because we have to think about the fact of when it is this year. So the League Cup final would have been coinciding or just after a group stage completion,
I would have,
sort of thing. And we may well have had, games where we've used up our better players, and we might have reserved more energy for the League Cup if it was coming into that time of year. I think the fact that it's the
end of February this year,
end of February, it's back there, and we're out of Europe, so it's like it does change. I've moved the goalpost on that one a wee bit as the seasons went on, to be honest.
Yeah, it's in a good position when you're heading into the title run-in, and the likelihood is as well. And even though, we know nothing has happened yet, the semi-finals haven't been played, so you can't take anything for granted. But the likelihood is the final is probably going to be between Celtic and Rangers. And after all the bravado, all the gusto that's been coming from them, there's no way that we would go into that final and be like, it's only the League Cup. If it's against them, especially with the way that they've been chirping, and it's like, no, we need to stamp our authority here ahead of the next league game, because we don't play them until April in the league. So it's a huge chance to win a trophy and put a marker down there.
There's two sides to it, though. I think, I've said it a few times, I reckon he's set himself up for a fall of some sort with a lot of his conjecture. He's just been talking about shite, let's get it right. And, that may well be in the form of a shock semi-final defeat for him, by the way. I think Jonathan speculated that he thinks that might happen this weekend. And if not, fine, we'll gladly, scalp their arses. I'm all for that.
Yes, we'll cross all those bridges when we come to it. But obviously we've got Derek McInnes' Kilmarnock to beat first. As you said the other day, whatever Derek McInnes is trying to play, football will beat it, because I still don't know what he's trying to play. When he was Aberdeen manager, he didn't really try, and now he's got an even worse team than that Aberdeen side, and he's still trying the same shit. But hey, don't worry, man. Kyle Lafferty he's going to be unleashed this weekend. So I see a lot of headlines about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would never think he's had the longest ban ever given to a player in Scotland. You know what I mean?
They seem to be not telling us why he got banned.
No one's mentioning that. It's how big a plus is it he's back. I remember the Tonev for Celtic.
That's right, Alexander Tonev. Yep.
Remember the sort of narrative around him when there was alleged racial slurs made. I think he got proved innocent with that. Did he not in the end?
I was not on. Did they not side with Shea Logan on basis of probability? Was their official reasoning?
I can't remember, but I remember it was, he got it a lot more stinking than what Kyle Lafferty's had it. So we'll just need to get give him it stinking on the pitch. Look forward to it.
I hope so. So hopefully Celtic just go out there, repeat what they did at the weekend there, and just get it done. It's a cup game. Just win by any margin necessary. No need for goal difference to be racked up. Just win the game. That's all that matters. So we'll be keeping eyes on that. We'll see tomorrow night on the TNF. You'll have more of a preview for that ahead of Saturday's game. But let's move on then to talk about things on the bus, because you alluded to a couple of things at the start of the show. Obviously, you were very bright and chirpy this morning. Chirpies, I've seen you on the breakfast bar. Well done, mate.
It was forced.
I think Johnny Lowe's just pushing you that wee bit, just sort of provoking you. Yeah, he's challenging you, mate. But no, it was a good show again this morning. And you alluded as well earlier on, you mentioned his name. A great debut over the weekend for Steve O'Matt.
Yes.
Well on the bus. Superb.
Aye, we've spoke highly about him since then as well, and he's fitted in really well. We were maybe with the Double Doon show, when you look at last year, I was subconsciously building some sort of team, which I wasn't really aware I was doing, and then it just sort of worked out. That just is quite good, having sort of more debate than me just doing everything myself, and it felt a wee bit more natural that way. But then naturally, it was each week that we were doing the Double Doon show, introducing someone else that were getting added to the team. And naturally what happens is too many chefs spoil the broth, and there was just probably too many contributors to try and juggle, give everyone a fair crack. Do you know what I mean? So we've kind of whittled it down, not through any nasty reasons. That it's just fucking happened. It's just naturally happened. That's what happens. And then when we're going to add someone to it, there's a wee bit more of a thought behind it, and like you know, okay, that could maybe work. It's not just as quick. It's not as much of a free for all to get on the bus. Not that anyone's not welcome. I don't mean it like that. It's just it's very hard to juggle when you've got a full-time job, like fucking 25 personalities in a group chat on a day-to-day basis as well. You're like, fucking hell. So right now, it was not something we were maybe as actively looking for, but we met Steve. He did the VIP fucking nonsense that we call it, you know, to dive on after a show. And when he came on, I just thought, fucking hell, he's good. And then Sunday was good because it was just me and him. So it gave him a really good opportunity to sort of you get stuck into the chat. And he was he was brilliant. It went down really well. So look forward to having him on more.
Indeed, yeah. Welcome aboard to the team, Steve-O. And also a successful debut, I would say, of Judgment Day last week as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the judge who's sunning it up in Lanzarote this week, as he keeps reminding us.
He is. So, yeah, I think we'll do a Judgment Day maybe once he's back. So it might be a slightly different day. And then we'll just double it and do another one midweek, depending on when he's back and how busy he is and stuff, obviously. But I know I was delighted to do that, and he did really well. It takes balls to do that, you know what I mean? And we know the judge has got a big set of balls. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing he does. Because he put in one hell of a performance. To speak just solid for 15 minutes into the camera. No feedback he's getting at the time. It's not like you can see me at the other end, like nodding along to encourage him. Nothing. Just a blank camera. So I was really chuffed with that. The numbers are brilliant as well. And folk can't get enough of him. So he's as well getting his own wee segment. And again, it varies up the content.
It does, though. I was very impressed with it. I say it's not an easy feat to go on and talk to the camera just one-on-one, put in that position. So he handled it really, really well. I mean, we've seen other shows where guys have been in a position where technical gremlins have got in the way and they've been left on their own and they've completely flapped. But Mark, I say for the first time doing it, and it's one of those things, the more you do it, the more practice you get, the better and more confident you'll get at it. And I felt for a first effort, he was fantastic. And he obviously, so I really, really impressed that. So looking forward to seeing Judgment Day episode 2. Now, Russell, every time we do the bus stop, we always need to talk about some sort of palaver on social media, some sort of somebody took a dig at us, this, that, and the next thing. No, this week actually we've got positive stories from the world of social media, from the deepest, darkest corners of Twitter. Because I've seen a few threads doing the rounds where somebody out there happened to ask, give me some recommendations of Celtic podcasts. And I'll say this, we certainly weren't bottom of the league anyway. There's a lot of people dropping the old Boise Bus tag in there, and I was like, love to see it. Good stuff.
Pleasantly surprising, isn't it? Pleasantly surprising. We're in good company there, mate. Got to always laugh when the wee fella gets tagged at the same time as me. I always find that funny, just because I know it. Like, I know he's messaged folk in the past being like, I don't want associated with him and stuff. So when he gets tagged beside me, I always smile broadly because I know it boils his piss. So that's always funny. It was also funny them getting like called the Tories by someone. Someone said they're the Tories of Celtic podcast, and I think the guy who'd like obviously mentioned them was like, well, that's why I gave an honourable mention to the Mick Lynch of Celtic podcast as well. Talking about myself, I was delighted with that. I'll take the Mick Lynch and them being the Tories every day of the week. That's a good narrative. So I think it was Handsome Jansen who said that. So a big shout out to you, mate. I enjoyed that, Pat. That was good.
I better watch though, Russell. You might get an Encham themed tweet aimed at you. You never know, mate. So jump on the other account and do an Encham themed tweet towards you.
I'll not sleep after that, mate. I'll not sleep after that. But no. It was cool to be mentioned in amongst a lot of the more established names, shall we say, Phil. But do you know what? At the same time, it's like if the conversation's there and people are having it, you want to be mentioned in it. And I mean, I know some folks have said they think all podcasts are shite. I'm all for that attitude, by the way. That is absolutely fine. They're just being honest. If they don't like it, they don't like it. And then the folk who do listen to it, of course, you want it to be sort of in and amongst it. You know what I mean? We're never going to be universally the most popular. I don't think I could ever become universally the most popular. Split too many opinion. But if someone's your name's getting bandied about, and I don't mean my name, I mean like the bus's name's getting bandied about, then I think that's a positive sign. We've only been doing this 13 months, so
Aye,
the rest
so
of them
not
have
too bad.
combined, I mean, they've been doing it for about 25 years. So,
Aye.
do you know what I mean? So,
well, I feel like this week in particular, a lot of that chat has kind of come off the back because, Celtic podcasts have been very topical this week after a clip was put out from a show that really, really angered the fan base. At the end of the day, like, they've done an hour-long, 45-minute show, whatever it is, and they picked that 2-minute clip to put out. To me, there's a bit of naughtiness there. They kind of know deliberately what they did, but obviously it caused a bit of an uproar. And there were, as you say, many tweets, many people saying things like, that's why all podcasts are shite, that's why I don't listen to them. But, we've seen guys on Twitter who've got like a really strong presence on the Celtic Twitter, like guys like Paul McQueen. I saw many times tweeting during the week saying, here, not all podcasts, don't tar them all with the same brush. And he was dropping their name quite a few times again in there. So it was good to see, man. I say it's this week's the whole Celtic podcast stuff's been very, very topical on Twitter. So it's good to see that you're not getting threatened for a square go outside the Superstore at 4:00 compared to months ago.
Still looking forward to that. But I mean, with the ones through the week was silly because whilst I think there was an argument to pull them up, if you know what I mean, and go, whoa, disagree with that opinion.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if folk want to go down, if they care that much, they could go down the road of, well, hold on now, you did a 45-minute pod, whatever you're telling us all to watch. Why did you choose that 2 minutes? That was for maximum impact. It's not everyone it's for maximum impact. Sometimes that can go the other way, as I know myself very well, by the way.
Yeah.
I probably, I mean, the fact then there was a bit of the sort of coming back from it and deleting it and stuff, and then I seen a tweet I think by the numbers guy last night, quote tweeting some other stato and kind of having a bit of a pop at them, quote tweeting them having a pop. I thought, well, when the shoe's on the other foot, you're quite keen for the old pile on yourself. Not that you'll get one, because nobody cares, mate. But do you know what I mean? I thought, you were crying wolf 4 days ago and deleting posts and stuff because of that. And then, literally last night, they don't use finishing attributes, so there you go. And I thought, that's quite interesting that maybe, I don't know, man. I think Twitter lets itself down when it gets all the personal stuff, and I don't think any of them deserved any of that. Do you know what I mean? But, if you put yourself out there and you choose a controversial topic and you put it as your header, you're going to get shit. You're going to get some good stuff, you're going to get shit. I just think the personal stuff, I think quite distasteful. And I think there was plenty of scope to have said, I disagree with that view, and I disagree why you've put that up. And here's my reasoning why. And to be fair to the lad who hosts it, he disagreed with one of my tweets, and it was one of the most, it was like maybe 2 or 3 messages to each other, but it was like, wow, if all debate could be like that, Twitter would be all right. He couldn't have been more respectful in his, so he was disagreeing with me, but he was sound about it, and I thought, well, I've got no beef with that. So I suppose he's maybe if he was thinking that was going to be how it was on Twitter, then probably naivety to an extent, and probably got them the traction though that they were looking for by going for a controversial topic. But you live and learn.
Aye, indeed. No, you're right about the personal stuff. Just come on, guys. It's only Twitter. Nobody cares, mate. Just especially disagree. But when it goes down the personal route, there's no need for it.
I don't like that.
But to everybody that did give us any sort of positive shout outs this week, we thank you, and hopefully that we can keep the good content coming and keep you entertained. Now, before we go, Russell, one more thing that we need to talk about, because it is the middle of January. It's something that's been brought up a few times. But obviously, we've the transfer merry-go-round continues on, and Joe, this is the name on everybody's lips right now. He's now fallen into the new Jota or Paddy Roberts, a transfer saga that drags on and on and on. And we see being in that position. I found it very insightful when you mentioned the Peter Lawwell stuff. Now, there's no conclusive evidence that Peter Lawwell is involved in why this is dragging on. I don't think he is personally. But as you said this morning, Celtic have put themselves in a position where you've brought this guy back. People are going to look at the optics, one of your favourite words, and they're going to be like, well, he's back. We've got a transfer that's dragging on when, under Ange, transfers haven't dragged on. He's clearly the problem here. So it could be a number of reasons as to why, but stupidly Celtic have put themselves in that body position. But yeah, Cho seems to be the new, the Jota transfer saga, the Paddy Roberts transfer saga, one that goes on for an entire window, and I hope it doesn't. I hope it gets resolved soon. But yeah.
Well, this is we'll look at the transfer first, and I'll talk about the Lowell thing very briefly before we go. But the transfer itself, this was a player that was being linked with us during the World Cup, whilst he was scoring at the World Cup.
Yep.
That was when the first link was coming out. So that was 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, we've not had... The only time we felt like this was Cameron Carter-Vickers and Jota last year, but really those deals were done. It was just about them. Will they agree? Will they not agree? It's not because Celtic could have done any more. The deals were in place.
Yep.
This one is like... You see the fees involved and you can't help but feel, what the fuck are they dragging their heels at? If he was identified 5 weeks ago, in December, he wants to come to Europe, and the bids are fucking more than affordable than within our budget. It's like, well, get on with it. The biggest concern, I suppose, I've seen with the bid was the using other people's money to pay for it, and that is essentially what you're doing when you're dressing it up as 50% sell-on clauses. That's other people's money you're using to bid for footballers to jazz up a deal to dress it up. And it's potential other people's money. It's not a guarantee. Yeah. And I just think that looks so tacky. And I'm like, surely there had to have been a ballpark, a ballpark fee.
Yeah.
That club wanted 3.75 million, £4 million, not euros. Just fucking offer it and get him. If we've identified him 5 weeks ago, he's quite clearly a prime target.
Yeah.
Then you've got the issue, of course, and maybe even subconsciously, I'm doing it as much as I'm probably side with you. I think it's a bit early for Lowell's footsteps to be all over it. But I suppose subconsciously, I'm finding it more tedious because I've got these negative vibes going on. And the negative vibes towards this from the supporters are based on fear, suspicion, and experience. Right?
Yep.
Fear, suspicion, experience. All three of those things go to Peter Lawwell. Him being back at the club as a sideshow when transfers can be protracted. We've had it too good maybe with transfers, right? And that's me with the balanced head on. Despite all the stuff I've just said there about, why it seems easier from the outside that it could get done. I also take on board, sometimes they are protracted. Sometimes there's other, agents and players' ears, other clubs promising bids, they've just not bid yet, etc. Hold on, hold out, etc. Right? But the thing is, when you've got this happening for what feels like the first sort of time, and then you look at the money involved and the pettiness, it seems anyway, to a club that's boasting rude financial health in their account statement and stuff like that, and they do boast. And by the way, this is the thing, some of the Celtic fans are going to go, well, we've seen this movie before, I don't want to be in it again. That must be the big bad man, Lowell, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, he might be like, what's fuck all to do with me? But the problem is there's going to be an element of the support, and I think a considerable one. This is the problem. Because of the impact he had at the club, how long he was there for before, it won't just be a small, tiny, quiet minority that go, I wonder if Peter Lawwell's do that. Every transfer that we either don't get over the line or takes too long, there is going to be a large percentage of supporters, rightly or wrongly, and we're accepting it might be wrong in this instance, but will attribute it to him. That is why this appointment, I never understood how it made sense. It's just not worth it because there is a negativity around this. That almost, it's one of those things that people are looking at 50%, that just sounds like penny pinching. It's got penny pinching vibes, Phil. So fingers crossed we do get it over the line. Fingers crossed he's not had his fingerprints over it whatsoever. And, let's see how this all plays out. But anyone who's surprised, if they, at the club who are reading social media and seeing, oh, no surprise, he's here, coincidence, I think not. If they're surprised at reading that on social media, then they've not been paying attention. It's as simple as that.
It's I've noticed a pattern developing as well, where every time a transfer goes well, Michael Nicholson, what a job he's doing, but any transfer that's going a wee bit awry, it's got to be that big bad evil Peter Lawwell. I've noticed that pattern developing. So well,
that didn't need to exist, Phil.
I know it was easily avoidable, but again, the clubs kind of put themselves in that position, so they shouldn't really be surprised when people are pushing that narrative around. But tomorrow night, obviously, is the TNFs. I'm sure you'll be talking more in depth about that. And then, of course, say Friday, we've got Bustalgia. We'll be going back to Neil Lennon's first season, Russell. That should be a fun re-adventure. And yeah, you said you're tempted to have a wee fan cam live as well for the Viaplay Cup semi-final.
It's 5:30, isn't it?
So 5:30 kickoff,
aye. Because I finish work at 3 on Saturday. I've got a wee half day. Because we were scheduled, I think, initially to be playing a league game that day. So I've kind of booked my days off, try to book it or book like any hours that are available. I try to take them around the football now. It's that sad, but you know, it's what you do. And basically that gives me time to get a bag of cans. And then
it does.
And do fan cam live. Fan can live.
No, a fan can live. Oh, it should be a fun adventure anyway on the bus to say PMP and all the other good stuff like Sunday Blether, and that will all be there again. So yeah, and then the week starts, we go again for another week on the bus. So we'll wrap up there, Russell, because this has probably been the longest bus stop we've actually done. 25 minutes we've just went by there. So yeah, before we go, so I just remind everybody, just remember to do all that good stuff, guys. You know, subscribe, like, comment, share, helps the algorithms of the channel, gets the word of the Boise Bus out there, spreads it to other people as well. And yeah, the numbers are on the way up and we want to keep that going. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you tomorrow night for the TNF. See you then.